Hey, what's up guys, this is Pissnick64 here. I bought a new webcam, so I am back making videos, and plus my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, so I've been kind of depressed over that, but I'm going to be making a few videos here. First one, talking about if you're a Steelers fan, like me, sad day for Steelers fans. Chuck Noll, probably the godfather of the Steelers, the one that made the Steelers what they are today, the Hall of Fame coach, probably the greatest NFL coach ever, easily one of the top 5 greatest coaches ever. You can put in John Madden, Vince Lombardi, Bill Belichick. You talk about these great coaches. But what has Chuck Noll done that none of them then won 4 Super Bowls in 1 decade? Even 2 in a row. Which Bill Belichick did, but back in the Chuck Noll era, there wasn't no spygating. In fact, I don't even think they had cameras back then. Like, you know, those type cameras. They had cameras back then. You know what I mean, but let's talk a little bit about Chuck Noll, his legacy. He's coached at least one player in each major position in football into the Hall of Fame. Tell me how many coaches have done that? He coached a quarterback into the Hall of Fame, Terry Bradshaw. Coached a running back / fullback in the Hall of Fame, Franco Harris. He's coached a wide receiver, Swanworth, Lynn Swan, Dante Stallworth. I said Swanworth. That's what I like to call the duo. Coached offensive line, Mike Webster, arguably the greatest center of all time. The defensive line, do we even need to get started of how dominant that defensive line was? You had Mean Joe Green, probably the greatest 4-technique D-tackle of all time, or easily one of them. Maybe you can count Warren Sapp in there, but I mean, for Joe Green today, he'd be considered maybe a middle linebacker in today's standards, size-wise. This guy's very undersized for a modern day D tackle. I mean, maybe back in those days he was big, but maybe a D end now in today's, but he was no D tackle in today's league. But he was massive back then. We had L.C. Greenwood. And the linebackers. Do we even need to get started? That's probably their best out of their entire team was their linebackers. That's why the Steelers for the last 40 years have been like, hey, let's base our team off our linebackers. You know who started that? Chuck Noll. Because when he drafted the Jack brothers, as I like to call them, Ham and Lambert, oof. And then you had secondary in the Hall of Fame, Mel Blount. Come on. So Chuck Noll has coached so many people in the Hall of Fame. This guy's won 4 Super Bowls. First person ever to do it. And he never lost a Super Bowl. That just tells you something. He's 4-0. And the Steelers went to 8 Super Bowls. Or 7. 8. They lost against Dallas. Then they lost against Green Bay. So they're 6-2. Chuck Noll is the only Steelers coach to never lose a Super Bowl. And one of only 2 coaches to win 4. And he's arguably the greatest coach of all time. And this guy will be missed. You know, I wasn't around when he was alive. You know, he was playing, or not playing, but coaching, obviously. You know, I was born when Bill Cowher was coaching. And what a great coach Bill Cowher was. Still can be. Maybe not in today's NFL. He's kind of out of the touch. But Chuck Noll took a team in 1969 that went what, one in, I don't know how many, 13. I think there were 14 games back then. When one was number one overall pick, 1969, and they drafted Mean Joe Green. I think it was 1969 he drafted Joe Green. I'd have to look that up. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you know what, guys? It's sad. You know, me being a Steeler fan, and he took that team and won 4 Super Bowls. A team that was the laughingstock, the Cleveland Browns of the '60s, the modern day Cleveland Browns, the modern day Jacksonville Jaguars, modern day Oakland Raiders. That's what the Steelers were in the '60s. They were just embarrassing. They were terrible. And Chuck Noll coached this team, turned around. They got some few good draft picks, won 4 Super Bowls. This guy was a class act, true legend in the NFL, and not too many coaches could win 4 Super Bowls, especially in today's NFL. Bill Belichick could have won 5. He could have been the first to win 5, but the New York Giants didn't let that happen. So, Chuck Noll, rest in peace. My condolences go out to your family. And us Steeler Nation, we love you, man. Peace.